Welcome everyone to Train Tuesday. I am your host Jim Wigan and so glad to have you on board. Hey, if you like the content that you see delivered here on a weekly basis, do us a favor, like, subscribe, hit the notification bell. That way you're notified every time a new video like this drops into the channel, and comment. I try to answer as many comments as possible and I do enjoy the interaction. A couple of weeks ago, we talked about the HO scale version of these cars, the PS2 2893 covered hoppers. Well, some folks in the section didn't quite see what I was saying earlier, that we would cover the N scale cars later. Well, N scale guys, your video has come. We're going to be talking about the N scale versions of these, hence why you see my NTRAK module set up behind me. Now, folks that are used to watching this show, regular viewers, are probably wondering, where's the N scale layout? Well, don't worry, it's still around. We're doing some work here in the studio. I've been busy this summer working on some additions, some updates, so that when we return to our live format later in October, we're going to see some new things in the studio that's hopefully going to make it easier for both of us to enjoy our presentations. But until then, we're going to be talking about these N-scale cars, and we're going to use this NTRAK module as an example. And later, we're going to go into detail about these cars a little bit more and show you what kind of detail they've got packed into them. So let's go ahead and get started with another train goodness video filled with these N-scale cars. Now, these cars were originally announced back in December of 2023, so a little over a year ago, and they should be here by the end of August. So depending on when you're watching this video, they may be in stock at your dealer now. If you don't have a dealer, feel free to look at the links in the video description below, and you can order them direct at Athearn.com. Also, you can get this announcement PDF as well. I've provided the link in the video description below, so that way you can see all of the different cars and the road numbers that we've chosen. So starting out, we've got this 1954 era Jack Frost. Now, Pullman Standard introduced this type of covered hopper back in 1953. So this Jack Frost car would be relatively new in its current state. Now, if you're an N-scale guy and you've got a layout and maybe you've got a bakery, this would be the perfect addition to your layout. Or if you're like me and you run NTRAK, or maybe you're into FreeMo N or T-TRAK, this is just a fun car to add to your roster. Now, we knew this would probably be a popular one with the N-scale market, so we offered 3 different road numbers. The road number that you see on your screen, as well as the 2 that are listed at the top. Again, you can verify those road numbers by selecting the link in the video description below for the PDF announcement. Up next is a 1970s car. This is Milwaukee Road, and it is also prime for grime. Now, I personally love these prime for grime cars because from the factory, they come faded and they're already a flat color. So all you need to do is you can literally just take these out of the jewel case and run them as is, or you can add your own weathering to your desire. Now, these cars are 1970s era, and you can tell because you've got the ACI label right there on the side. We're going to be offering these in 3 road numbers as well. Going back to the earlier days of this car, 1954 New York Central. Now, something that I've told the HO scale guys, and that definitely works with you N scale guys as well, just because it's a 1954 car, and it's lettered and painted for the New York Central, doesn't mean that you guys at Model Penn Central or even Conrail can't enjoy these cars. With a little bit of work as far as decals, putting it in the right decade, and some weathering, you can certainly bring those into the era in which you model. A lot of these cars weren't painted overnight, so it's not impossible to see pictures of Conrail with old Pennsylvania Railroad as well as New York Central Railroad freight cars. This is a great example, and this is something you can do, and it's kind of a fun winter activity to find some images and copy those images with decals and weathering. Now, whether you want to model as it was new or later in life, we're going to offer this to you in 3 different road numbers. One of the most popular fallen flag railroads that we consistently see in our surveys is Southern Pacific. Southern Pacific has a extremely loyal following. So we wanted to offer this 1970s car for you Southern Pacific fans in N scale. And I know these are going to sell out quick. Based on what I see online, there's a lot of guys in N scale that model Southern Pacific. So if you pre-ordered these, you're probably okay. If you didn't, I highly suggest calling your dealer right away. We're going to offer this 1970s car in 3 different road numbers, so that way it's easier to boost up your freight car roster. So here's a really interesting car, and we're only offering one because the prototype, well, there was only one. This is a 1980s car, and it was for Weyerhaeuser Corporation. Now, a lot of people originally asked when we started showing social media on the pre-orders of these cars over a year ago, why would Weyerhaeuser have a covered hopper? Well, from what our researchers were able to find out, this was used for sand, and the sand, of course, was used for their diesels on the property. They would literally store and use the sand in this car for their traction sand on their locomotives. Now, we do know that N scale guys do like to collect stuff, and this is kind of a strange one-off car. So if you pre-ordered this, you're going to have a really interesting car to add to your roster. If you didn't pre-order, I highly suggest contacting your dealer now. I have a feeling this car is going to sell out faster than all the other cars combined. Another fallen flag that's seeing a lot more momentum in the last year is the Southern Railroad. Now, this is a fallen flag, of course, but there's a lot of folks that like to model their railroad as it appeared when it was still a class 1. And Southern is certainly one of those railroads. We get a lot of requests for Southern in both HO and N scale. So we wanted to offer this 1970s Southern Railway car in 3 different road numbers for you to model. And last but not least is this Wabash car. Now, this Wabash car is a 1970s car, and it's primed for grime. Now, a lot of you may be wondering, well, wait a minute, Jim, Wabash was long gone by the 1970s. Well, remember what I said earlier. Just because the railroad may have painted some freight cars, some locomotives, some cabooses, that doesn't mean they painted all of them. And this Wabash car is no exception. Long after the Follow the Flag had faded out and was now running behind Norfolk Western, these Wabash covered hoppers were still seen throughout the United States in the 1970s. 1970s car, because if you look under the S and H of Wabash, you'll see the ACI label. And we're going to offer 2 road numbers for this Wabash car. And again, primed for grime, so out of the box, they're already faded out. They're somewhat weathered. You can look carefully and see that the Wabash and the flag logo is kind of scratched up and it's deteriorated slightly. So you can run them out of the box just like this. Or if you want, you can add some additional detail. Now let's talk about the features of these cars. Now these are Athearn N scale. Now we do offer Athearn Genesis and N scales, so these are not going to have quite as much detail as the Genesis. The biggest takeaway you're going to remember with Athearn N versus Athearn Genesis N is Athearn Genesis N will include coupler cut levers and air hoses. You won't see those on Athearn N because, quite frankly, we have a lot of folks that like to operate these cars in a modular setting, and those fine details don't always hold up to the transportation to and from events. So we want to offer these cars with enough detail to satisfy most modelers, but at the same time, not put so much detail on that they become extremely fragile. Athearn Genesis N-scale models are perfect for your home layout or a club layout, but if you're going to be doing T-TRAK, NTRAK, FreeMo N, or any type of modular standard, these are probably going to transport a whole lot easier. So these are going to include the separately applied round roof hatches, brake wheel, and walkway. They also have separately applied outlets and detailed braces. One of the things I love about these cars, Athearn was one of the first N-scale manufacturers to start body mounting their couplers. Now they do come with the McHenry scale knuckle couplers. I realize that's not everybody's favorite. Can you switch those out? We've tried to make it as easy as possible. It does require a little bit of work, but it can be done. I've done it myself. And lastly, metal wheel sets. Now, the metal wheel sets that are included with the Athearn N scale cars, I can tell you from personal experience that you'll have no trouble running on code 80 track, whether you're modeling NTRAK or T-TRAK. They'll have no problem with that factory style track. If you're doing FreeMo and you're running code 55, likewise, you won't have any issues. Or if you're like me and you got a home layout that has code 40, they'll run through code 40 without any issues. I can also say these cars run flawlessly through all N-scale manufactured turnouts. I've not experienced any issues with those. Now, these are scale cars. They are proportionally scale. So the minimum radius on these is 11 inches. Usually we try to hit the 9 3/4 mark, but these are, again, based on scale proportions. So they're 11 inches. Now, I'm sure you can run them on the 9 3/4, but let's be honest, they're going to look a little cartoonish if you want to run these on anywhere from T-TRAK all the way up to FreeMo N. You should have no issues with these. So there you have it. Where can you get these cars? Well, you can get them in a few places. You can get them direct if you don't have a hobby dealer near you, or you're not used to doing a lot of online ordering. You can order them direct at athearn.com. I've provided a link in the video description below. Keep in mind, if they are not in stock yet, they'll say out of stock. So keep an eye on the stock status. We are currently updating our stock status and ETA, so keep an eye on that as we go through that update, hopefully taking out some frustration that a lot of our customers have had in tracking products on our website. And also, you can contact your hobby dealer. Now, you heard me talk about pre-orders earlier, and N-scale guys, I know we're not really known for pre-ordering, but in a case like this, the wise modelers did pre-order, because there's a couple of cars in here that I feel are going to sell out really quickly. If you pre-ordered those, that basically means your dealer is going to give you a call and say your cars are in. You go to the hobby shop and you pick them up, or you place your order online and you're done. If you didn't pre-order, remember that Athearn is really tightening our pre-orders and our orders with the factory so that we don't have so much overage. Well, you may have a hard time finding some of these cars if you didn't pre-order. So just keep that in mind. And again, if you're afraid of pre-ordering because you think you need money down, talk to the hobby shop first. Not all hobby shops require a deposit or all money down for a pre-order. They just want to know if you're interested in purchasing this car when it comes into stock. So with that being said, you should see these about the end of August, depending on when you're watching this video. They may even be in stock right now. Now let's go ahead and take a look at these cars in detail. All right, we're back at the NTRAK module. And I've got a couple examples here. I've got the Jack Frost car you can just kind of see just off the camera there. And I've got a couple of the Prime for Grime 1970s versions here. I've got the Wabash as well as the Milwaukee Road. So one of the things I want to point out, and it may not really be seen just because it is so dark, but even the trucks are weathered on these cars. You can see it's not your standard glossy plastic. It's a nice, almost a dark gray. Other thing that I wanted you to notice is you'll see that these walkways are metal etched. I'll show you on this car here, the Milwaukee Road. And if you look carefully here, your grab iron, that is actually metal. It's not plastic. In fact, I'm going to pick this up, try to get that into the camera so you can see that detail. But that is not molded in. That's an actual metal grab iron. Really hard sometimes for the camera to pick up these little tiny details. Now, of course, you do have the detailed outlets. You can see here on the bottom, a little bit easier to see on the gray than the black, but both of these are from the factory. I haven't done anything to them. They are Prime for Grime. And again, these are perfect for, if you're like me and you venture outside the train room and you do a modular standard like NTRAK, They work perfectly for that. Now, disclaimer, my track is actually code 70 because I like the tie spacing of the microengineering track better, but it still works with the code 80 that is standard with NTRAK. I've never had any issues hooking up with other layouts. Now, if you look carefully here, you can see that there's screws that hold on our freight trucks. We do that because it just tracks better. I know there's a lot of N-scale manufacturers out there that just have like a plastic rivet or like a pop rivet type thing that goes in there. The nice thing with these screw-on trucks is it gives a much more solid performance. You can actually fine tune them as well. Then if you look carefully, you can see the coupler box there. There's a very small screw. And with some work, you can remove these couplers and use the coupler of your choice. N-scale guys, we're living in a great world right now because there are many options out there for couplers, both super scale as well as just standard magnetic style couplers. And I have actually converted these to a manufacturer's scale coupler without any real issues. Like anything, you're going to have to do some fine tuning. I mean, that's one of the beauties of model railroading. Nice low profile wheel sets. If you're as old as I am, you probably remember in the old days, N-scale cars had what we called pizza cutters. And those pizza cutters were basically designed so that they would track better on the track. And the railhead was not very scale back in those days. Code 80 was a standard. It wasn't until in the last 20 years a lot of manufacturers started coming out with code 55 and code 40. Well, these will work all the way down to code 40 without any issues whatsoever. They track really nicely, they roll really nicely, but not super. I don't really like them to roll to the point where they never stop. They've got a nice little bit of resistance on there. So if you're like me and you're into switching, they're perfect for that. Also, too, to take note here, like I said, 1970s cars. So you've got your ACI label here. You've got some original text that's been patched out. And if I wanted to, I could just run these as is, 1970 style, or I could do some weathering. Another update that we've done to our N-scale cars, we had a lot of N-scale folks comment that our brake wheels, try to hold that still so you can see it, our brake wheels were just way too thick. So we've re-engineered the brake wheels. They're a much more finer scale, so they capture the look so much better than they did in previous runs. So we have done some updates on these cars. Again, body mounted couplers, I like that. If you're into N-scale switching, that makes it easier. I've got the Jack Frost car back here by my warehouse. Bring this up to the camera. The Jack Frost car, this is straight out of the box, as it would have appeared in 1954. Again, 3 different road numbers on these. And I have a feeling between this and the Weyerhaeuser car, these are going to go quick. So again, Athearn provides really nice detail. You've got your metal etched roof walk, you've got your detailed outlets, you've got just enough detail to satisfy most modelers. You can't really see it in there, but your brake detail is in there, your brake tank. But you don't have the cut levers or air hoses that Genesis has. And frankly, if you're modeling anywhere from T-TRAK to NTRAK to FreeMo, you probably don't really want to worry about that. So if you're one of those types of guys, it's like, I really like the paint schemes on these. You can just pick these up and open them out of the jewel case. They all come with a jewel case, and just put them on the track and run them as is. You don't have to do anything with them if you don't want to. And it includes both the prime for grime as well as the standard non-prime for grime. So there you have it. These are going to be in hobby shops by the end of August. So talk to your dealer if you pre-order them. He may have already contacted you. I don't know. Depending on when you've watched this video, they may have contacted you. But really exciting. And you know what? Fall is coming. I know a lot of us are going to be getting ready for some train shows soon. So you're going to want to be stocking up on your new models. Check these out. Links, again, for these models are in the video description below. So with that, I want to wish everybody out there, be happy. Be kind, do some good modeling, and I will see you live again in just a few months in the fall. Until then, high greens, everyone. Take care.